Sebastian Junger, in his book Tribes, describes a primarily agricultural tribe that when they have to go to war and the men come home from killing, they have a cleansing ritual to clean the men before they are accepted fully back into the tribe because of the killing. Now, groups like the Apache, the Maori in New Zealand, the Maasai in Africa, they celebrate the killing. They celebrate these warrior societies. But, I'm identifying more with, I'm more interested in the agricultural societies where they do not celebrate killing, but when they have to do it, what do they do about it? And this idea of cleansing them is interesting to me. So I'm thinking, what if today we had something where we offered to the veterans that we send, and if we sat them down, maybe had an actual physical cleansing where old people would wash the young men and then sit and have the young men confess in a confidential, no consequences environment, confess every terrible thing that they may have done, and then whether they did something terrible or not, have the old people declare one at a time, and then all together declare, whatever you did in our name. We sent you. You were a young person. You were willing to do whatever we sent you to do, but it was our responsibility. You did it for us, and you did it in our name. We take it off of you, and we place it onto ourselves. It is our sin. It is our guilt. It is ours to deal with. It is not yours to deal with. You are clean. Rejoin us clean. Well, what is the role of a man if he's not part of a warrior society that celebrates killing? About 2 million years ago, the Congo River separated the ancestor of the chimpanzee, so that north of the Congo River, you ended up with chimpanzees evolved from the ancestor, today's chimps, and south of the river evolved the bonobos. Now, until I think the 1850s, scientists just thought the bonobo was a smaller chimpanzee, but then they began to notice some very different behaviors. Chimpanzees fight each other the way that primitive humans do, which is that they'll go in a group of 10 or 12, maybe 14, they're not too big a group, and they'll go over into enemy territory and see if they can catch a male alone, and then they will kill him and tear him apart. They might mess with 2 males, but they will not mess with 3 males. So it's got to be a total overwhelm. And they'll steal the females, and they'll take over as much of the enemy territory as possible to take their fruit. Chimpanzees eat fruit, and so the enamel on their teeth is thinner than the enamel on our teeth. Early on, we began eating tubers, which have dirt and sand on them, so we needed thicker enamel on our teeth. But anyway, the bonobos, I don't know what the heck would have caused this, but the bonobos, they don't fight like that. They don't fight like humans. In bonobo, shall we say, culture, the females are predominant. A male's status in the female group is determined by the status of his mother. And if his mother dies, his status drops to nothing. Some scientists once put out a whole bunch of chopped up sugar cane to see if they could attract a troop of bonobos to study them. And they heard bonobos coming, and then they heard from the other direction another troop of bonobos coming. And this was not good, because their experience with chimpanzees was that there'd be a bloodbath when these two groups met up to fight over the sugarcane. But instead, these two troops of bonobos came to the edge of the forest and looked at each other. And then the older females went out to the middle of the clearing and had what the natives called hookah, which is the females rub their erogenous zones against each other. And once that was done, then everybody came out and rubbed erogenous zones. Males, females, old, young, everybody rubbed erogenous zones. And then everybody sat down and shared the sugar cane together. Now, where's the fighting males? It would be interesting to know what would happen if a band of bonobos met up with a band of chimps. Kind of sounds like that a band of bonobos might be larger than your ordinary band of chimps. So even though the male bonobos are smaller, maybe they would take on the larger male chimps. Now, in case you didn't get it, bonobos really enjoy rubbing their erogenous zones. They just do every sort of sexual interaction that you can describe with every gender, every age. They just really enjoy it. Where did that evolutionary thing come? Well, okay, now, in terms of evolution, the result is, that the females dominate and run things, and the males are sort of in the background. Could that be any sort of clue as to how to create a human society that was more peaceful and did not celebrate blood and killing? And to go back to, could we set up a ritual of cleansing our young people when they come back from the horrific assignments that we send them to? Well, good morning, and as you can see, my rhododendron is about to blossom. In my future rambles, you will see more pink blossoms, and then someday you will see purple blossoms. Good morning. Lots of love to you out there. Bonobo love, if possible.